One day you woke up and you were alive. You don't really know where you were before that, but ever since you've been receiving a constant flow of data that you call your senses. Those inputs slowly molded the blank canvas of your mind, and eventually consciousness arose out of it, along with your idea of who you are. Ever since then you can pretty much distinguish between what is and isn't you with great accuracy. Except for the fact that if we go with that framework, then this is actually you. Since all the inputs are handled by your nervous system, the rest of your body is just a meat bodysuit that keeps this spaghetti-looking thing safe. And your poor brain, sitting alone inside your skull, doesn't really have direct access to the external environment, which means that it can only construct its best guess of what the external environment looks like through the inputs it receives. What I'm trying to say is that everything from your senses to your idea of yourself are all constructed by you. But this is starting to sound more and more like a word salad, so let's take a few steps back and approach it with a metaphor. When you are born, you perceive all reality equally, unfiltered, which is kinda like white noise. But you start creating and molding a filter for this flow of information as soon as you are alive. First subconsciously, then as consciousness arises out of that filter, both consciously and unconsciously. This filter for the information that is being streamed to you is who you are, and it's constantly changing itself. So yeah, duality is pretty much an illusion, and what you can think of as the external environment is actually your own mind. There is no clear cut between what's outside and inside you, because you came up with both those concepts yourself. But I guess I can make another episode about that. Let's focus on your perception for now. Let's start with the real world, the place that is streaming information to you. We call it the material reality or ground truth, as it is free from any interpretation or framework. An apple in the physical world has no color or taste, as those attributes are assigned to it by you when you take the information that makes it up into your own internal world. If we think of reality as this video, then this will be the raw data that makes it up, rather than what you're looking at right now. As information travels from the real world into your mind, it gets labels assigned to it, and those labels are what you actually feel. You don't feel the concept of an apple, but you feel all the adjectives that make it up. It's juicy and it's red, it's sweet, and it most definitely is not actually real. Those feelings all come together to create what we can call the Cartesian theater, or your internal model of reality. This simulation of the real world is actually the place you exist in right now, because you can't really process information fast enough to exist in the real world. Sorry dude, no one can. But if we think of reality as this video, then the Cartesian theater will be the copy of this video that is playing inside your mind, rather than the one that's playing out in the physical world. As information gets processed by your brain, something happens though. A clear image forms in the screen of your awareness. I mean, look around. Everything you perceive is on this screen. What's happening is that by thinking, you are effectively skewing your view of reality and creating a narrative for yourself.
The weird thing is we don't exist in the physical world. We do exist inside of a story that the brain tells itself.
Okay, let me my information processing take that in. We don't exist in the physical world. We exist in the narrative.
Basically, a brain cannot feel anything. A neuron cannot feel anything. They're physical things. Physical systems are unable to experience anything. But it would be very useful for the brain or for the organism to know what it would be like to be a person and to feel something.
Yeah.
So the brain creates a simulacrum of such a person that it uses to model the interactions of the person. It's the best model of what that brain, this organism, thinks it is in relationship to its environment. So it creates that model. It's a story, a multimedia novel that the brain is continuously writing and updating.
What you think of as the real world is actually the inside of your mind. If everyone seems like a dick when you're angry, it's because in the reality you exist in, they actually are. Even though in the real world, they're acting like usual. There is a real world out there that is above any adjective or description or narrative. You can in fact only try to describe it through the use of metaphors. And when you try too hard, shit like this video happens. And people just get confused rather than getting the message you were trying to point out to them. I need a fucking vacation from the physical plane.